This changes everything for the Toronto Maple Leafs as star prospect Easton Cowan is not only looking to make an impact at the OHL, but at the NHL level this year with the Leafs as well. And he made some comments that might just shock you. So stay tuned for all that in this episode. Before we do, if you're a part of the percentage who aren't subscribed to the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button. It means the world to Darius and myself. And Darius, we have a lot to go over today. Easton Cowan is a player that obviously has been dominating, taking the world, the NHL, the hockey world by storm. And the question now is whether or not he will make the Toronto Maple Leafs team at some point throughout this season. And the Toronto Maple Leafs are in a spot where they desperately need some goal scoring. They lost Tyler Bertuzzi, like we've been echoing for the past however many videos. They're losing Nick Robertson, most likely. And he had some things to say. And he had some things to say about his future with the Toronto Maple Leafs. And let's just dive right into it. You can see it here. He's being very blunt. I want to make the team. That's always been my goal. I want to play in the NHL one day, and I'm feeling very confident. Just got to come into camp, be a very reliable player, and someone coach can trust. I got to learn game management a bit better, and I think I'll be good. So, Darius, what are your thoughts on this? Easton Cowan, do you have any thoughts on it?
I love it. I love the confidence. I love everything about it. His goal this year is to make the Toronto Maple Leafs, and whether he does or not, it's not going to be his decision. Well, it will be his decision based on his play, of course, but I think obviously it's going to be the coaches and GM's decision. But he wants to make the team. That's his goal, right? And I love the confidence coming from him. We've seen prospects in the past that maybe don't have this confidence, players in the past that definitely don't have this confidence. So I love the fact that he's saying these things. I love the attitude. I love the fact that his goal is to make the team and that it might actually happen. It's looking like it might actually happen now, especially because of the cap situation. And they could use some goal scoring. And he surprised me at camp last year. And then the fact that he went back to London in junior in the OHL and did what he did this year, it was just amazing, right? Like he had one of the best seasons a London Knights has had in a long time, and one of the best seasons since Connor McDavid. Really good company, right? So, of course, at the OHL level, we'll see if it translates to the NHL. But I'm excited to see what this player does in training camp, right? And I love everything about what he said.
Yeah, and obviously he wants to make the team, and if he could make a very strong effort to make the team if he goes ahead and plays because of the Leafs cap situation, because of the things that they need. And after a strong Leafs development camp, he said he's really looking forward to training camp. I have a goal in mind, and I'm going to stick with that all summer. The goal, I want to make the team. I'm being very confident. It's not that often you see a player this young and this talented, and he kind of came out of nowhere again. We always bring this up, but when he was drafted, he was seen as one of the biggest reaches by Wes Clark, who's now obviously with the Pittsburgh Penguins, unfortunately, but he was seen as a reach in the draft with the late first round or whatever pick it was in the 30s. Now he wants to make the team after a really good season with the London Knights last year, and I think it's very possible, but seeing this attitude from a player makes tons of sense. And Darius, because of, you mentioned it briefly, the Leafs cap situation and their desperate need for forwards, for goal scorer, for third and fourth liners, he could come in and provide that goal scoring for the Toronto Maple Leafs, and I think it makes tons of sense for the team.
He can do that, but there's also the other question where, you look at the situation, you go, maybe he won't be able to yet, right? He's still young. Maybe it won't translate to the NHL right away because he's not going to be getting top line time, right? I just don't see him taking any spots away from the top six forwards, right? Any of them up there. I don't think it will happen. So he's going to play in the bottom six. And is that a place where he can succeed in his first NHL year where they're going to burn a year off his contract? I'm not sure. I love the confidence. I love that his goal is to make the team. I'm just not sure if it's the best option for his development. And obviously he's going to have to go back to the OHL. He can't go to the AHL. We talked about it ad nauseum in the last couple of videos and over the last year, of course, of that agreement in place between the CHL and the NHL that he has to go back to the OHL. So just not sure if that's best for his development, but maybe it would be, right? Like we don't know at this point. We're going to have to see how he plays with the big boys come September and see how he fits into preseason games. He's going to get a look. Last year, he was sent back pretty early, which was expected. He's going to get a look this year. He's going to play in the NHL for at least 9 games, could be a little bit less, or it could be the whole season. Who knows, right? But we're going to have to see how he performs in those games. The ball is, I think, very much in his court in terms of play and what the organization is feeling, because it can go either way at this point. And I think that's exciting for Leaf fans because I wasn't expecting this. Like you said, like this was a player that, some people were like, why would they draft this player? This makes no sense. And the year he had in London, and he's not just a skill or finesse player either, right? He brings some edge to his game, and he was really good for London in the playoffs. So I'm excited to see what he does come training camp.
Yeah, that'll be really where he is going to be able to shine. And we saw it last year with Fraser Minton. He had a very good camp, a very, very good preseason, and then ultimately was given the ability and given the chance to perform. He ultimately only got his 9 games, and he didn't look phenomenal at the NHL level. But when you're looking at Easton Cowan, there's a chance that maybe he can follow the same footsteps in that regard, but surpass the 9-game threshold. But you mentioned it. The development is going to be big for him, but it's a little bit different because he can only play, because of that rule you mentioned, at the OHL level. How much real development will they be able to get? And I think from their perspective, let's say they call him up and he gets 9 games and then he's playing well. He scores a few goals. He's just making a big impact on the team. I could see a case where they say, hey, the development is not going to get much better. Yes, you have the worry about your losing your year control and the prospect and all this stuff with the 9-game limit. I think at that point, the Leafs, especially if he's helping them win, we talk about this 2-year window that they have, 2 to 3 year window with the free agents that they sign and the aging of those defensemen specifically. If his goal is to make the team, you want to make the player happy at this point, especially if he's playing up to the ability that he could. And you can see here, Fraser Minton, who went into a similar situation last time, said he's not surprised at how much Cowan has grown in the last year. Pretty much everybody you see picked at the top of the draft has that mindset. That's why they're up there. They just continue to go like this usually, and Easton's going up a really steep trajectory, and I think they'll keep doing that. And a really steep trajectory is a perfect way to put it, because he kind of went from 0 to 100 really fast, and Minton followed the same footsteps. Maybe they'd be able to, maybe Cowan can do the same thing, but actually perform a bit better. Nothing against Minton, and then maybe even propel himself into a 3rd and 4th line. And Minton's a guy who could as well.
Yeah, Minton could too, right? But maybe not this year, I think, because Minton can play in the AHL. But I want to make one thing clear about Easton Cowan. There's nothing that this player can learn more from playing in the OHL from this, moment forward. It just doesn't make sense, right? So I know it's going to sound obvious, but to go off of what you said, if he's not performing and he's not scoring goals and helping them win, you have to send him back. Unfortunately, you do. I don't think there's anything he can learn, but unfortunately, you have to send him back. But in his role, whether it be 3rd line or wherever he fits in, if he's scoring and he's helping them win, and he's making a difference, I think you have to keep him, because at that point you're like, all right, the development, not that it's done, but he can play at the NHL level, right? So you have to really see those 9 games, because he's going to get them. Maybe not all 9 games like we were talking about, but you have to see in that little window when the season starts what you have in this player, because if he's not performing, and if you have the mindset of he's not going to learn anything from the OHL, let's just keep him on the team, but he's on the 3rd line, he's not really performing, and he's not playing to his skill set, it makes no sense. It's a waste of time, and it's a waste of resources, honestly, and money, because his ELC is going to burn faster. So does he have anything to learn from going to the OHL? No, I don't think so. And he almost won a Memorial Cup too. He won the championship. He's done everything there is to do basically in the OHL, but he has to thrive at the NHL level. He has to be able to, show that, he can play, right? And he's not being wasted in whatever role they have for him.
Yeah, that stupid rule, quite frankly, that they have is the reason that we're even considering Easton Cowan, or the reason that Brad Treliving is. We're obviously not making the decision. Considering Easton Cowan to play, because there's nothing left for him to, learn and even earn at the OHL level. If he could play with the Marlies, it would make a lot more sense. So now it might be a blessing in disguise, though. If the 19-year-old can go out there, he's coming off of an OHL Most Outstanding Player, OHL MVP. Like, he did everything he could last year to put himself in a position to make the team this year. And that's the difference between him and Fraser Minton, is that Minton can now go to the Marlies, perform well there, and maybe become, develop, because he didn't seem, if Easton Cowan does the same as Fraser Minton did at the NHL level last year, they will send Easton Cowan down to the OHL. But if he comes out and really shines, then maybe he'll follow a trajectory of an NHL player and then never look back. Who knows? Let us know in the comments what your thoughts are on all of this. He's only 19 years old, but he is one of the best prospects in the NHL, and one that the Leafs and Leafs fans are going to be watching for a very long time. We'll have you up to date on all the latest news. See you guys soon.